What's going on? This your boy Chris Simmons coming to you with another podcast episode on this special episode with another special guest. Man, I was looking forward to having her all week, man. We've been planning this since last month. This guest is an author slash public speaker, all the way who is currently in Tulsa, Oklahoma. She from the country. She was originally born and raised in South Dakota. I ain't never met nobody from South Dakota, but she is like probably one of the only people you will probably meet that's from South Dakota, to be honest, unless you go to the state. But she's really
Right.
from South Dakota, but she is, right now she's in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's funny how we actually got connected because, I was doing these live segments called What Would You Do Wednesdays. You already know about that. And she happened just to get on there and just see what I was talking about. I didn't think she was actually going to, respond and give me feedback. And literally, like, when I was asking, the people to give me feedback, she was one of the ones that was giving me feedback. And I was like, oh, okay. And then she hit me up. She was like, yo, I love these. Like, I love these segments. We should definitely do a Zoom call and get to know each other. So that's really how our relationship sparked. But yeah, that's pretty much how we're here right now because of my live session. You know what I'm saying? But without further ado, let me introduce y'all to special guest. Miss Heather Westover. What's going on with you, girl? How you doing?
I am doing great. Good to see you, Chris.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And I mentioned how I love that shirt. You know what I'm saying? I love that. I thought somebody made it for real. Like I said, did somebody make that for you? And she was like, no, I bought this. I was like, really? I'm like, that look handmade, honestly. You know what I'm saying? Look like somebody sold that together.
Well, and instantly when you said that, I was like, why? Does it look bad? Just the way like, oh, you bought that? But we're good now.
All right. Yeah, no, it's all good though. It's all good though. Yeah, she's out there in the car. I was like, bro, I thought she was driving at first, but she is like parked somewhere in the parking lot of the store. She had to drive like 10 minutes just to get to town. I was like, bro, that's like, man, that's a long wait. 10 minutes, like
Yeah,
being out in the country, it's a distance. It's a distance,
I am way out in the country. We own 5 acres ourselves. And then right behind me, one of my best friends owns like 1,500 acres. That's just nothing but pond fishing and cattle roaming. So,
Yeah, I honestly could tell by my face, like I don't know nothing about that because I've never like lived in the country. I've been to the country because I have family who's out there in the country, but I've never lived in the country. I've always been in the suburbs and I've always had stuff around me. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know how people do it. Like some people got to drive like, 20, 30 minutes just to get to a gas station. I'm like, I can't do all that. Like that's too far.
well, when I grew up in South Dakota, we lived on my home place was 2 miles square, the whole thing. That was our place. And then we had a lot of farmland and stuff that we worked other places, but the home property was just a 2 mile square radius. And I mean, I just had full roam of it from the time I was a little bitty. And but yeah, we were 13 miles from town. And wow, internet. I mean, back then when I was growing up in the 70s, we were just lucky to actually get AM radio come in. But yeah. And so now that I'm living out in the country, I have a hard time with internet. It works some days and some days it doesn't.
Yeah. No, no, we I could see that because we had that problem coming on trying to get ourselves together for this episode because she kept going in and out. I was like, are you at home? She was like, yeah, but we don't get no service. I was like, what? She's like, yeah, I gotta go in town just to get service. I was like, man, it's like that is crazy though. But but
Yes, I'm
yeah.
sorry about that technical delay.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. But no, I mean, it's all good. I respect it. Everybody come up different. You know what I mean? Nothing wrong with being out in the country. It's
Yep.
always unique. It's unique out there. It's quiet. That's what I love about the country. It's pretty quiet
Yes.
out there. It's
Yes.
only thing you can hear is like animal noises. Like you was telling me earlier, like you was hearing the cows. I was like, bruh.
We have a fence where the coyotes they can't get in. And so that makes it a little easier to just sleep listening to them howl. But yeah, it can be a little eerie if you've never heard it before.
Uh, yeah, no, I feel it. I feel it. But yeah, that's cool though. I mean, that's cool. Like, love. I'm sure you probably love it out there and everything like that. Now, speaking of, being an author, like I know you talked about how you was writing a book and stuff. Why don't you tell the people like how that's coming? When is it gonna come out? You know what I mean?
So I, being 50 years old, I thought to myself, I mean, I've never done this before. I don't want to be one of the people who just throw something together and slap it on Amazon. So I entered a program through Georgetown University. Professor Eric Kester started this program, and it's particularly for first time authors just to help you understand how to write your best book. And so I've been in this program since May. Went through the first 4 weeks was like learning what's going to happen to our mindset through the process of writing. You're going to end up with the imposter syndrome, like, what am I doing? I'm no author. Nobody's going to read my book. And learning how to work through that and press on and continue creating content. So now I'm done with all of that creating content. My book is, for the most part done. Today I submitted my final manuscript over to the publishers, New Degree Press, and they've assigned an editor to me there who's going to take the next month, read it over, and then get back with me to any revisions we might need to make. I enter a pre-sale phase in on November 22nd. You'll be able to order my book online. There's quite a few perks for anybody who orders through the pre-sale. They'll get a handwritten note from me in each of the books and some other fun things. And then and I think there might be a little bit of a digital download for 1 or 2 chapters through that pre-sale. And then the book will be in hand with a handwritten note from me in spring of 2022.
All right, all right. Congratulations to Miss Heather. That's
Thank
that's
you.
that was so interesting when you told me that before. Because it was funny how me and you we were like on the same mission because I know you mentioned that
Yeah.
to me that you were trying to write a book, and I've mentioned to my audience that I'm also trying to write a book as well, and my book is going to come out a little before yours. It's scheduled to come
Yes.
out in December of 2021. So around Christmas time, if you're looking for a Christmas gift, go ahead and get you my book, Step Towards Your
Yes.
Purpose, and also get Heather's book when it comes out. I would definitely promote that on my page as well. But
Yeah.
it's just interesting how we had a connection right there. How I was mentioning how I was writing a book. You mentioned that you was writing a book. At 50
Yes.
or 51 years old. You know what I'm saying? So
Well, and I was a little envious of you because you've actually gone to college,
mhm,
and so for you to write a book, you're in the middle of that kind of stuff. I have never in my life not even had a college professor critique my work.
mhm,
And so that's why I was like, at 51, I should not just throw something together and put it on Amazon. I'm so far removed from that learning and education phase in my life. I wanted to do this program so it would be
right.
a good work.
Yeah, no, I definitely see that. And I feel like it's never too late. Like you can always,
Right.
there's no right time. Like people will always like try to be like, oh, you gotta wait for this time to do it, like, or oh, you too old, you too young. Like, no, like you gotta take advantage while you're here now. So I respect that, you know what I mean? I feel like it just goes to show that you really don't need a degree, you really don't need, really any type of qualifications to really go after what you want to do. You just got to go ahead and do
Right.
it. You just got to have a plan, and if you have a plan, you can just go out and execute it. So all respect to you, like doing what you love to do, being able to, enroll in this program and get this book together. That's what's up. And it kind
Thank
of
you.
goes for me as well. Like, I was never really a strong writer in school, and I've mentioned how I struggled in writing coming up. Like I had to take these special ed classes, in school, and I always take like standardized tests. Like coming up to school, they always tested us on something. It was always like some type of test to see like how we were doing in school, and according to my test
That's what
results,
school is.
exactly, it's all
All tests.
standardized. Like you got
Yes.
we had what we call the OAT, which was the Ohio achievement test or whatever it was called. And then
Yep.
they changed it to OAA. Then they had the STAR test, the air test, the MAC test. Like they had all these different tests we had to take to, try to determine like, were we strong in reading, writing, math, and all that. And I was passing them, but it wasn't like, I was advanced. And so like, I remember like on the writing test, like I wouldn't do as well. I remember on my ACT, I took the writing test. I got a 6 out of 12. So that's basically a 50%. So, it told me that
So
I wasn't.
did that make you believe like I'm not a writer? I'm not a whatever. Did you fall into that a little bit and have to fight that?
Yeah, no, and that's funny. That's funny how you mentioned that, because I actually mentioned that on my last episode, how, I was thinking like, oh, like this, I guess the test must be right. I guess the test says I'm not ready to enter into college and be able to, do the writing. But, I had to look past that, because I'm like, you know,
Right.
the test might say this, but I gotta say that I can do it. And I just had to say I
Right.
can do it. Like, despite of, getting a 6 on ACT, or even like when I was taking writing classes, coming up in school, like, from K through 12, the teachers, I would always get my writing back and they'd be like, it's just it's okay. Like, I had teachers tell me like, oh,
You
it's
did
this
fine.
sentence structure, like this grammar, like it's just not there. Like, it's just not on an advanced level. It's just the mediocre level. Like, I would hear those type of comments, and I'll just be like, man, like, really? And that kind of discouraged me, because when you hear it from somebody else, it kind of discourages you to go after your dreams. But I had to fight that. I just be like, you know what? Just
Right.
because they said this back then doesn't mean it is true today. Doesn't mean it applies to me today. So I had to just get over that and just continue to do it, because I would never know. Like, this could be the best book that ever hits the shelves. I wouldn't know if I never tried it. So I had to just get over
Right.
that and learn how to do it.
Yep.
Yes,
That's
man.
good. Well, I spent the first 31, 32 years of my adulthood being a stay-at-home mom and a wife. Like, I wanted one of the things I'm really good at is supporting people in their mission, you know. And so I just spent my whole adult life, lifting up my kids, helping them. I had two go to college on a softball scholarship, and just my husband, from the time he started working for a major airline, he said, I want this position, and I did everything I could. I did all of the stuff with the kids so he could focus on his career. And 2 years ago, he landed that position. And so we were good there. Most of our kids are out of the house. I still have one at home. And, I was like, okay, does Heather ever get a chance? Do I ever get a chance to reach out there and achieve something? And so I sat down and talked with my husband, and he was like, yes, here we go. So that's how I reached out and found the program, Georgetown University. And I had a lot of I knew I was a good writer all my life, even without classes, but I just had a lot of the Heather, you're 50 years old and you don't have a degree. What are you doing? Um, but I just kept going. I want this.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I mean, like I said, it's never too late. I mean, if you make up in your mind that that's what you want to do, then that's what you're going to do. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I actually wanted to go back to what you said about not being able to attend college when you were young, because you did tell me that you made a huge sacrifice. And I want to, transition to this, into the topic about relationships, because I felt like when you mentioned how you didn't get a chance to go to college, or you didn't get a degree from college, is because you actually, like I said, made a sacrifice. One thing that I found interesting about Heather is that she's been married for 33 years. This girl, been married for 33 years, and to her high school sweetheart,
Yeah.
that is rare. Like, what I'm saying? Like, I probably know maybe one other person. Like, I listened to Eric Thomas, and he mentioned how he got together with his high school sweetheart. But this girl been married since what? Since you was like 18, 17, 18 years old, something like that.
18 years old. Yeah. I graduated in May. I turned 18 in July, and I got married in September. And about 2 years later, my first daughter arrived, and every 2 years after that, we had another one. When the baby was born, they were 6'4", 2 and newborn. And Yeah, and I was like 26, you know? It was crazy. And then 10 years later, I turned out pregnant again with, just like that'll rock your world, that your youngest child is 9.5 and you find out you're pregnant. What? So, yep, that's how it was with us.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was crazy because I was like, man, like that's crazy. And one thing that I remember you saying was how because back then there was no technology, like we got the cell phones, you know what I'm saying? We can call, text people like from a distance. But I remember you telling me, I was like, man, like it's crazy how you got married in high school and are still together. And one thing that I remember you saying was how you sacrificed, like then you got like scholarships from like different schools and everything. But because you were so committed to being with your sweetheart that you said you gave that up just to be with him. And I think that's dedication right there. Like, having to sacrifice
So,
going to college to be with this
yeah,
man. And it's like I feel like you in a good place now. Like, would you say that
I,
you
I,
are in a good place in your life right now?
I really am.
Mhm.
So in the 70s and 80s, when we were in high school, we lived in two different towns, and our towns combined to make one school district. And so he was from one town, I lived out in the country with the other town. And to for us to even call each other in high school, it was long distance and it costed money.
Mhm.
And so we didn't like we had to pass notes to each other, and we had, like only saw each other at school, and that was basically it. So then when it came time to decide what are we going to do, I had a scholarship to play volleyball and a scholarship to sing at a college in Bolivar, Missouri. And so that was a long way from South Dakota. For sure would have been long distance, would have been very expensive for us to call each other even once or twice a week. And then how would we get back and forth to see each other, that kind of stuff. So the summer after we graduated high school, we just kind of sat down and had this discussion, like, if I'm going to go off to college, it's not really going to be feasible to stay together. I mean, to be honest. And so are we breaking up right now, or what are we thinking, And because I said, I really, if your choice is to break up, I really don't want to continue to date all summer up until the day I leave for college, just increasing that heartbreak, And so, we really didn't know what we were doing. Like I said, at the time we got engaged, I was still 17. But at the same time, I don't know how to do life without you. So we're just going to stay together, whatever that means. And in the 70s and 80s, there was no chance I was ever going to just live with anyone. He asked me, he said, do you want to just live together? And I was like, nah, I'm not your girl. Number one, I wanted him to stay alive, because my parents would not have gone for that. Um, but number two, it just wasn't something I wanted for myself. So yeah, I gave up those two scholarships and we got married and we moved to Cheyenne, Wyoming, where I put him through school. I worked at Wyoming's Game Fish and Parks Department and paid the bills and brought in insurance for us while he went to school.
Mm. Man, that's a lot. Man, that's a lot of dedication right there. That takes a lot of will and a lot of grit. And I'm sure along the way, getting married that young, a lot of people don't make it. You know what I mean? Like I know like my parents, they got young and they divorced and it's crazy because at that age, sometimes you're not at a maturity level yet to be able to handle all that. But it seems like
Oh, for sure.
33 years later, y'all still got a strong foundation. You know what I mean? Like how
We
did you
do.
like talk to the people out here, Heather, because like you definitely been in a relationship longer than me. Like my longest relationship has been 7 months. I'm just gonna be keep it real with you. I've been like I'm still young. I'm still trying to date. So it's like, how did you build that foundation though? Like how are you still able
I
to
mean,
be together?
I think one of the best things we ever did was as soon as we got married, we moved 6 hours away from everyone. And so there was no like staying mad at each other because we didn't have anybody else. I didn't have any friends in Cheyenne. It's kind of a slow thing to get to know people. There was no just getting mad at him and not talking to him because I would have nobody, you know. We were all we had. And and then we grew up together. And so I think a lot of the fact that we grew up together was when the hardships came, I remember thinking to myself, I do not know how to unwrap myself from this man. Like, I don't know how to cut us apart. We've known each other since I was 13. We dated off and on through high school. And how do I just do life without this person who's been such a big part of my life? And he went through a decade of addiction to pills. Alcohol was also a problem, but it was mostly the pill, driven by pill addiction. His doctor had prescribed him Ambien and to sleep. And if you've ever, heard any testimonies of people that have taken that, it's a big drug. And if it goes bad for you, it's really bad. And it just started a decade for us where, oh, uh, you know, it was awful. And during that time, I kept thinking to myself, like, how do I remove myself from this man? Like, and there were so many bad things that happened. But at the same time, I come from a long line of never give uppers, and kept reminding myself, you said your vows to God, you didn't say your vows to this man. So if God releases you from this man, then cut and run. But I never felt like I had that permission where God said, this is a lost cause, go ahead and go. I didn't feel like I had that. So I stayed. And now he's on the other side of that. He's been clean and sober for 12 years. He's 100% different man today than he was during that time. And sometimes it works when you stick it out. But I will say I have a podcast. It's called Life Bites, Bite Back. And I recorded a podcast with him about being married for 33 years. And I asked him, I said, would you advise anybody else to get married to their high school sweetheart at 18? And he was like, no, no. And I said, well, what about us? We're a success story. He was like, yeah, we're like that lottery ticket you hit for several
Mhm.
$1 million,
Yeah, yeah,
So it's
yeah.
hard, and I don't know how to explain it to somebody to just make it work for them. But I was a never give upper. I learned how to forgive, and I invested a lot of myself into this man.
Man, that's a that's amazing, man. Like that's true love right there. Being able to stick with somebody through the thick and thin. That's something I've always, started to look for now. I know a lot of people, when they're looking for relationships, they just sometimes they be playing in the sand too much. You know what I mean? Like they be building
Right,
sand castles
right.
when they trying to like find relationships. They ain't really trying to, they just
They're
there
just
just like
playing
when it
house.
looks good. Yeah. Like they just there, like
So
they like what's up?
I think though that I I always want to be very realistic to people because marriage is not um it's not the Disney World happily ever after.
Right.
When that decade hit, and we both addressed that in when the podcast that we recorded. I hated him and he hated me. Like, we weren't even friends. We weren't, but we had these 4 kids together, and what we were was teammates. We continued to lock arms together. We did everything we needed to do for those kids, and we just kept going. We were very good teammates to each other, but I didn't respect him. And he said that hurt the most. He said that for men, like, the respect of their woman is a big deal. And man, there were days he would walk through that door, and I mean, that was all I could do to just be like, you ugh. um, but we kept going. When it all boiled down to it, I guess I did still love him underneath, but man, those negative emotions were way more visible on top during that decade. And it's hard. And there are some times where people do have to reach for divorce. I'm not advocating to stay in a horrible, bad marriage. I was just taking my lead from the Lord because my grandmother reminded me, my granddad had Parkinson's disease, and the last 15-20 years of her marriage was, she didn't have her husband. She had a shell of her man, and she just kept reminding me, I said my vows to God, not to that man. And it was just a testimony that rang true in my heart. And until I heard from God, I was not going to leave.
Mm.
So,
I think, man, that's amazing. And I think that, when you're in that, and when you're in a serious relationship like that, especially like marriage, like I said, I've never been married before, so I can't really give you a whole lot of advice on how to stay married, because I never been married. I just had a girlfriend before. I never been married. But what it sounds like to me is that, you reference God, and me and you were also very spiritual people. We both believe in God, both big believers. It seems like when you're in a marriage, you're gonna need some outside help, like especially from God. Like, you're gonna need to call God. Like, you ain't talk to God,
yes.
you're gonna start learning how to talk to God. From what it sounds like from being married, you're gonna need help from God when you're in a marriage, because it seems like when you're married, there's gonna be times where you feel like, did I pick the right person? Like, is
Oh,
this
for
like
sure.
is this the person that I was destined to be with? And it seems like, some people, like, they give up too easy. Like, they don't want to really fight the challenges. They just want to just play in the sand when it's cool, when it's like warm outside. Like, they don't ever want to have things happen, which they will, from every marriage. Even my parents, who I've never seen them fight before. Like, my parents who are married,
Really.
I've never seen them fight. Like, no, like,
My poor
they
girls.
they've never, like, I ain't never seen my parents fight, like my mom and dad, but they know how to just handle it behind closed doors. Like, they've
Right.
made it, they've just made it clear that they don't ever want us to see that. And so they were really
Right.
good. They've had disagreements, don't get me wrong, but I could just never tell that, because they were good at keeping it behind closed doors. You know what I mean? And they're
Yeah.
still together to this day. So even my
There
parents,
there's a lot there's a lot that I hid from our girls. But I am my parents, I'm 3/4 German and a quarter gypsy. So I have the worst temper ever. And so even if I tried to not fight with him in front of the girls, you could still like see it all over my family. So, I mean, unfortunately, I didn't ever achieve that. But to be very blunt and very honest, I think I think people finding a spouse, finding a partner, need to understand and be intentional about the fact that everybody has their demons. And whoever it is that you pick, you have to be committed to fighting their demons with them, because that's what marriage is about. They may need you to overcome. And I think in my case, that's how it worked. And I was able to lift him up while he fought his demons. Now, let me tell you something. 10 years is a very, very long time to do that. And I just about lost it a few times. And we had gotten to a point once where I had decided, this is it. I'm done. DONE, done. God, you're just going to have to forgive me later because I cannot do this anymore. And I said, I like, Lord, I know I don't have your permission, but I'm dying and I've got to go. And then 3 days later, I found out I was pregnant with my fifth daughter. And I was like, I can't, I can't do this. I can't, that's not the life I want her to have. I
so
don't want her to start out being in a divorce situation. And I stayed.
So you think it was like the kids? So because of the kids, like, that's what kept you there, because you wanted your kids to be able to grow up with two parents, and also, be able to, just have two parents there for the kids. Is that You know, was that like part of your motivation for, you know, sticking it out?
It was part of it, but I'll be 100% honest with him struggling with addiction. Um, it was also because I had a lot more control over protecting them if I stayed. If I divorced and he got visitation, I did not have the ability to walk in and gauge whether or not he was capable of driving before they got in the car with him.
Mm,
Staying married, I was able to protect my kids that way.
mm,
So that, again, it's not a fairy tale, but looking at where we are at now, I wish you could see both of us together interacting now. I think the podcast that we recorded, we shows a little bit of the bantering back and forth between us, but he's so much different now. And like, he really is taking it serious to take his turn at lifting me up, you know, and helping to fight through some of my demons, and we've always been good teammates, but like right now, man, it's the sweet spot. We are best friends. He's supporting me, and I feel a little bit like, well, is this fair? Because he's doing all the work right now. And then I have to remember I did all that work for 31 years. It's okay. He can lift me up a little bit. So,
wow. Man, that's crazy, man. Like it seemed like it was like a roller coaster. It was like you was riding. So there's a roller coaster, like, you know, called the dragster in Cedar Point, and it seems like, you know, it was going up real fast, and all of a sudden you go right down, and then you just hit that smooth spot. You know what I mean? Like you just cruising now.
yeah,
Your roller coaster, your relationship seems like I'll be riding a roller coaster because there was a lot of ups and downs, but I think it's good for people to hear this. I think it's good for,
yeah,
you know, people to hear, you know, your side and what you've been through, because, you know, that's what's gonna happen. Like if you stay with somebody for that long, shoot,
right.
you
Well,
gonna encounter some problems, like for real, for real.
right. And I totally get it when people have to walk the other way. I don't want people to feel like I'm coming down on them if they've been divorced. Um, but in my case, like, man, it was just whenever I faced the choice of leaving or not, I knew I just couldn't imagine my kids not waking up on Christmas morning with both mom and dad there. You know, like I wanted them to see both of us in the same living room drinking coffee, watching them open their gifts, and birthdays and random Saturdays, and watching OU versus OSU football, that Bedlam game. Man, we like we need to be together for these things. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't. My husband's addiction did not start by him wandering off with the guys and getting into something. He worked midnights for the family because he wanted to be in this new division and he needed some experience. So he's working midnights, couldn't sleep during the day. My husband's also a lot introverted. He's very, he calls himself a hermit. So anytime he used, it was only at home. He never like he was never gone out with the guys, getting in trouble. It was always just he would come home and use. And, I told myself, like, you could have it so much worse, and he could be out there doing stuff and end up with a DUI or end up, you know, cheating on me or, anything when you're out partying and using and doing those things. But he came home every day. And I mean, however, the fastest amount of time to get from his work to our house, he's there every day, right at that time. The only time he doesn't make it home in 45 minutes is when he has to stop at Walmart for me or something else. This man is consistent, So I knew in my heart, like, this wasn't something that happened because he was selfish and out doing stuff for himself. This literally came from being exposed to Ambien, and it just opened itself to so many other drugs. So
Mm,
the things that you do when you're taking Ambien, in his case and in a lot of people's cases, he didn't remember. Like, he would take his Ambien pill, we would fight, and he would say horrible, awful things to me that he will never remember, but I will never be able to forget, you know? And there was even once or twice where he would grab me and, like, throw me across the room or whatever. Not My husband is not the mentality of an abuser. He's never come at me like I'm going to hurt you. Um, but there were just a couple times where he would just out of character, grab me and toss me out of the way as he walked by. And, I knew all of it was Ambien. He never remembered any of those moments. It was, when he would wake up at the end of his sleep time from Ambien, he would accuse me of actually, like, did you bruise yourself so you can get attention? I mean, it was some rough years. And that, like I said, in 10 years, that happened, a handful of times. And it was never, I'm coming to hurt you moment. It was just get out of my way kind of thing. And it was rough. It was rough, rough. But like I said, I could trace the origins of the addiction, and I knew that it wasn't a selfish, I hate you, therefore I'm going to do this thing. Um, so yeah, my situation was a lot different than all other spouses who have to deal with an addicted spouse. A lot of times that will happen when they're out carousing with the guys or with the ladies' night outs, and you've got a lot of other harder decisions to make then. But for me, I just stuck it out.
Wow. That's crazy, man. Man, that's crazy. Like just hearing all that.
Yeah.
That's really all I can say. That's crazy, man. Because I know a lot of probably women that's listening. They're like, man, why you leave him? You should have left his sorry behind. I can hear them now. I can hear all the ladies in the
And
background.
when I thought of just myself, oh dude, I wanted to leave so bad. But like I said, I had more control over what happened to my kids if I stayed, as far as, if he were in a condition not to drive. I knew 100% for sure that my kids wouldn't get in the car with him. If it was something like, when they were little, we still had to go to a video store to rent a movie. If it was something like that, they wanted to rent a movie, I knew I could get in the car and take them instead of him driving them. And if we were divorced and he had his visitation, I would have no control over that. So it wasn't all selfless motivation to stay. Some of it was selfish and wanting to control what was happening. Um, but like I said, we had just gone through such a season when we very first got married where we had no one else. And therefore, we became very connected. We moved so far away from family. We became very connected as friends, relying on each other. And so that's probably what got me through it, just that connection we had built early on.
Mm. The Bible talks about, Matthew chapter 11, verse 28, it says, come to me, all that ye are weary, and I will give you rest. Heather, you got your rest, girl. Come on now. Because didn't you just take it?
Yes.
Because I know we've been talking a lot. I mean, you've been telling us a lot of the negative that's been happening, man, and how it took you, how it almost took you out. But I know, like, let's talk about, the good, let's talk about the positives now. I know for your 33 anniversary, right?
33rd.
33rd anniversary,
Yep.
right? Did you guys take a trip somewhere? Didn't y'all go somewhere for that?
So we did. In the last few years, we've started, because see, my husband works for a major airline. We get to fly for free. And so that makes our trips so much easier. And so every other year, I picked this year where we got to go, and then next year he will pick. And our trips are always so completely different. I will almost always choose Florida. I wanted to go to Boston to a Red Sox game, but for some reason the flights in and out of there were super full and we weren't going to be able to go. Last year was his choice, Chris. we ended up in some old boy's hunting cabin out in the backwoods of Oklahoma. It was pretty much held together with that spray foam kind of stuff that you use when you're fixing houses. Like that stuff was sprayed everywhere. He pulled up and I was like, "Do you want a 33rd anniversary? Because this 32nd one is not starting out so well." And we went inside and the whole thing had been remodeled and it was nice, but the outside, and there was like some snake had just shed its skin right next to the front steps, and I was like, "If you think I'm sleeping here, you are crazy." And so he had to go in and do a thorough investigation of the entire but it was literally a hunting cabin out in the backwoods of Oklahoma. He had put our four-wheeler in the back of the truck, and off we went, and it was right on a river. We were going to fish and ride four-wheeler and hike and all of that. And I mean, as awful as the surroundings were for a girl who likes to wear makeup and have fake nails, it was the best weekend with him. He was so happy, and he was so, like, he doesn't like being around people. So it was just him and me out in the woods. We had the best time, and he was in such a good mood. And he's like not a big picture taker, but he would, "Whoa, go over there. I want to take a picture of you." And it was the sweetest, most restorative fun. But yeah, yeah, yeah. This year when I got to pick, we were on the beaches in Florida.
Well, see, I thought you was country, but after listening to that, I think your husband's the main dude who's he's the real country dude in the relationship. I think when I listened to him on your podcast, because I remember you said that you did do a podcast. I remember listening to that with you and your husband. That man real country. I mean, he a
Yeah.
laid back, he talk, he got that country slang. So when you said he
Yeah.
went out in the cabin and you found snakes out there, I'm like, that's his environment. I'm like, that ain't that. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm like, first of all, you let your husband pick, so you had to have seen this coming. So I mean, you
Yes.
just had to go for the ride. I mean, I don't know what to tell you,
Yeah.
but I feel
Oh,
like
but he was so good because he stopped at the grocery store. He bought the best cut of steak we could find. He, he took care of me. He brought all the food and all the drinks that he knew I would like. I mean, it was the best time. Now, it is not a time I will ever pick for us, but I really enjoyed being there with him in his element and, doing the things he loved to do, you
Hey,
know?
I think you know what, you just said a very important point. I think when it comes to being in a relationship, it's all about trying to embrace those differences versus trying to change those differences. You see what I'm saying? See, I've mentioned this
Yeah.
before. A lot of people when they go in a relationship, they try to change the person. You ain't ever gonna change the person. That's gonna be hard.
No.
You just gotta embrace it, just like
If
you
you
did.
want to change the person, why were they attracted to you in the first place?
Hmm. That's what exactly.
Like,
That's a great
if
point.
you're attracted to them enough to want to be with them and date them and whatever, like, why are you changing them? I love my man. Like, he is,
Yeah.
there is nothing. We have never once hired anyone to fix anything in our house. We've built barns together. Like, listen, I grew up on a farm and I know how to do all of that hard work. I would prefer not to. I would prefer to not break a fake nail, and I would prefer to wear fake eyelashes while whatever. But he no, he never calls anybody over to help us. It's, well, we can do it. And we have cut down large trees, we built barns. We I built a rock garden in front of my house, and every rock in it, it's a big oval in our front yard. All the rocks are like 300 pounds. And he and we would go out to the rock pile, we would wrap a chain around some rock and drag it to the front yard with either the truck or the four-wheeler. We did this, and it's huge. I'll have to send you a picture someday. Huge. We did it just the two of us. You know, my man can do anything. Like,
Huh?
so why would I change him?
Huh?
No.
Man, that man, you know what? You got you a good man, Heather. You know, despite of everything you went through, at the end of the day, not everybody perfect. Just get that right. Not everybody's perfect. But I feel
Right.
like in today, see y'all say, Heather, you old school. See, you part of the older generation. I'm just gonna say that. I know you don't like
Right.
it, but
You
you part
say
of.
that all the time to me.
I say, I mean, it is. They older. It's
Yes.
the older.
Yes,
It's
fine. I'm
well,
old.
hold on. What's it? Generation what? X, Y, X, Z, Y.
I think I'm X. I think I'm X.
What? Yeah. See, y'all. Yeah. See,
Yeah.
y'all old. Yeah, y'all old school. Y'all, because you around my parents. You
Yes.
around my parents. You around my parents' age. So y'all old school. Like y'all. You know what I'm
You know,
saying?
it's so
Y'all,
funny. When I was listening to one of your podcasts in preparation for today, um, it was an older one, and you were talking about playing Pac-Man, and you were talking about all the different screens when you beat a level, and I was dying laughing because Pac-Man was like new when I was a teenager, you know.
yeah.
I'm like, do you know, I think I maybe got to the second screen like 3 or 4 times. I am not a gamer.
Yeah, that's that old
Oh
school. Having
gosh.
with the joystick, you just like,
Yes.
you know what I'm saying? Up see
Yes.
now we got PlayStation, we got Xbox, we got we see y'all
And
y'all
they're
y'all know
so different.
y'all
Holy
ain't know nothing
crap.
about that. See now you got multiple
No.
buttons. It's not just the joystick. You got to press buttons now. It's a whole different world
Right.
we're living in now. Um,
Right.
I think where I
So
want.
one thing I wanted to say, I think for especially for females, get so frustrated. It to us it shouldn't be that big of a deal. But to a man to work hard and provide for their family, especially in their 20s and 30s, is such a priority. They feel such a responsibility on that. You can feel left out or like you're come second or that you're less important or that you're what all I and we can talk all day long about how he should feel or he should be or whatever. Just accept the fact that a man needs to feel like he's providing well for his family. Just accept that.
Right,
Because I'm here to tell you in his 40s and 50s, once he has all this time behind him of actually providing well for his family, men do. They change, they get sentimental, they get um more concerned with, like Corey is more concerned with making sure that um my heart is happy than he ever was in his 20s and 30s because he was so focused on making a living. um and this is, you know, it's just when we were in our 20s and 30s, my husband doesn't really buy gifts. I mean, I would go, but I think I can count maybe on both hands out of 33 years how many times I've gotten a Valentine's Day gift. And I mean, even flowers or a card.
in today's generation, that they would have left you. That female,
Yes.
they you know nowadays that's why I was talking about y'all old school, because now new school is like, oh, I need a man to remember to get me, you know, gifts on this day, Valentine's, Christmas. I need a gift or I'm leaving.
What he did though was when he did do a gift, it was like super thought out. There was a lot of thought put into it. He would spend more money than, you know, typically what I felt like our budget could have handled. And he would get, but it was a good gift, you know, and that was just going to have to carry me until the next time he wanted to give me a good gift. But now that we're older, he gets me gifts for all of my birthday. We don't really do anniversary gifts because we're doing weekends away, you know. But he gets me Christmas gifts, he gets me birthday gifts. This year for my birthday, turning 51, um, he had made me, he was a big Walking Dead fan. And like the last season was going to come out, he wanted me to watch it and get all caught up on it and everything, you know. So I had to watch like 9 seasons in just a few months with him. And Michonne, have you watched The Walking Dead?
No.
Okay, Mushan is she's a bad she's tough. She's a tough woman and exactly what I would want to be like. Well, her weapon of choice is a sword and it's always strapped to her back and it's white leather and all this, you know. And so for my 51st birthday, he, you know, had a sword replica made of Mushan's sword come from Japan all the way, and that's what they gave me right before we walked in to watch the Drillers play baseball in Tulsa. I had to leave it in the car, unfortunately. But yeah, I have this white leather wrapped sword, exactly like Mushon's from The Walking Dead. She's like everything I would want to be as a tough female, you know? And so his gifts now, I mean, they're fun and they've got thought to them, you know, whatever. I went years and years, I went decades without gifts at all on Valentine's, birthday, Mother's Day, um, sometimes even Christmas, you know. But now, you know, so men do change. They do go through phases, and I mean, so do we. So really, it's not really our place to tell our man, you got to change into this sentimental, wonderful, you know, it's just not where they're at in life. That doesn't mean they're not a good quality partner, husband, lover, friend, all the things that a relationship should bring you.
Mm, man, I think these females today need to be hearing this
You
like
mean
right now, because
you,
they've
you want me
expected
to say that
way
again, Chris?
they expected way too much now. Like, I think
Yeah,
we was on my What Would You Do Wednesday one time, and my friend, like my friend who's my roommate, he took a girl out, and he wanted to do separate checks, like, because he paid for the first meal, and then, like, he cooked for her the following day, and then they went out again to a different restaurant, and he told the waiter, can we do separate checks? And apparently, like, a few days later, she got mad about that, and left him, and it made a whole rant on Instagram talk about, well, man, I can't date a man who don't pay for every meal. I was like, what? I'm like, you tripping? Like, what I'm saying?
yes,
Like, he didn't already pay for your first meal. He cooked for you. I remember he was in an apartment and he was cooking her like chicken and stuff, chicken and rice. I'm like, you telling me because one time he want to do separate
right.
checks, you gonna get mad? It's like, why didn't you pay the second time? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and
So it's
she's
just like,
not she's just not in a place in her life where she's there yet. You know what
right,
I mean?
right,
She might be she might be ready to, like, how do I put it? You know, date without need for a long-term relationship. She might be there, but she is not ready for a long-term equal partnership relationship.
right. Yeah, no,
And when you were telling that on the What Would You Do Wednesday, you should have seen my face. I was like, no, what is wrong with this girl? You know,
right. I was
my
like,
girl, my sisters better not ever act like that. If it gets back to me, we will be having a talk.
right, right, right. Because, at the end of the day, he was a great guy. He took care of her. Like, he tried to be there for her. It's just like, you can't expect your man to pay every single time, especially like being in college. His income ain't on that level yet. Like, let's just be real.
No, and I get the fact that I was a stay-at-home mom and I contributed a lot to our family, even though it wasn't monetarily. Um, I, I did so much that enabled my husband to be able to provide a really great living for us. But at the same time, if I can make any money at this book, you have no idea how much I'm looking forward to buying some gifts for my husband. You know, like, I mean, a trailer. He needs a trailer to haul things back and forth, but because he will not spend money on himself, and he, you know, it's like $1,500. He's like, yeah, I'll be fine. Yeah, you know, and he makes things so much harder on himself because he won't spend money. Do you know how fun it will be for me the day that I can have $1,500 that hasn't really been in the family budget to where he's, you know, would notice if I spent it? I want to pull up in the yard with that and a big old bow on it. Yes. You know, when you get older, things just become so much sweeter. You just have to be able to be great teammates and partners and friends, you know?
Yeah. No, I definitely see that. Heather, man, like, man, like, you so old school, girl. You so old school for real, for real. But yeah, I think, like, aside from that, I feel like, you know, I'll say this because I wrote this down and I wanted to share my thing on what
Okay.
I'm like, the three key layers that build a strong foundation in a relationship. You probably already heard these, but I'm gonna say them again. One, the number one thing Yeah, communication. I feel like a lot
Hmm.
of relationships, they don't work out because of miscommunication. That's one thing. So we got a board in our apartment on our fridge, and we all there's this thing we write like random stuff on the board. One thing we had at the top is miscommunication, because when we have our conversations, we're always talking about stuff that goes on in the world, and just like why is this stuff happening? Like, why are people getting mad over this and that? But the main thing is miscommunication. And in relationships, a lot
So,
of people miscommunicate. Oh yeah, go ahead, go ahead. I know you have wanted some had some.
so yes, because people underestimate the hard reality of the fact that men and women absolutely communicate differently. And so, um, when I worked at a job, it was at a Christian summer camp and retreat center. It was me and three men. So our staff meetings, would happen. And then a week later, my boss is like, "Did you ever do this thing we talked about in the staff meeting?" And I said, "No, I didn't hear any action item. I heard you guys talk all about all the different options and all the different ways it could be carried out and all, but I did not hear this is the way we've chosen to go." And so I said, "Are you a Star Trek fan?" And he was like, "Some." And I said, "Well, Jean-Luc Picard, anytime he wanted his crew to actually do something, he would say, 'Make it so.'" And so from that point on, because I never heard in men language, I never heard the call to action, like, let's do this option. They would talk about everything and then we would move on to the next topic. But so after that, then Ron would stop and he would go like, "Make it so." And I knew then, okay, this is the action item. I'm ready to go on this. People don't really give enough credit to how men and women communicate differently.
Yeah,
So keep
no,
that in mind in relationships.
yeah, that's what I realized. Like when I was in a relationship, back when I was dating, girls in like high school, and I talked to this one girl when I was in college, for real, for real. Thought I was gonna be serious, but it wasn't. That's what I had to be woke to that, because I feel
Right.
like, man, I feel like we more straightforward versus how females communicate. It's more like you got to pick up the hint. Like I remember this one girl, she was trying to hint at something, and she got mad at me because I didn't pick it up. Like I remember, like it was like back when I was in high school. Like it was my senior. I think we're about to graduate. It was like my senior year. I went over to her house at night, and I was parked in her driveway, and she came in my car. We were just sitting there, and we were just talking, and she's like, "Christopher, what are we?" And I was like, I honestly think we just friends with benefits, for real. She's like, "No, what are we? Do friends kiss?" I'm like, "I think so." Yeah. She's like, "But if we're friends, why are we kissing?" I'm like,
Right.
and then she kept
Right.
like going on and on. And then I said something. She got mad. She hopped out the car and slammed the door and left. And I'm just like, what the? And then literally the next day, she called me. She's like, "Christopher, do you know what I was trying to tell you?" I was like, "No." I'm like, I thought I
Nope.
was answering your question. And she said, "Christopher, you could have kissed me 100 times that day." I was like, I didn't know that, because you kept asking me, "Are we friends with benefits or are we dating?" And I kept trying to answer the question. So what I learned from that moment is, you got, as a dude, man, it's like you said, it's completely different. Cause I'm more like, just tell me what you
So
want. But from a female, it's like, you got to pick up on it. I'm like, bro, I ain't got time for that.
I think, well, I think a lot of stuff like that does go back to little girls are raised, even still today, even though we have a have attained much more equality than before, we're still not. We're still raised that the girls should not be the aggressor in a relationship. Girls should never propose. Girls shouldn't ask somebody to out. Girls shouldn't, it's because you can't be um what am I trying to say? Gentle, delicate, and proper kind of girl that we all really we want to be. It's just we want to let the tiger loose once we get comfortable with somebody, you know. but we were never raised to just come be out and be the aggressor. What she was saying to you is, do you want me or do you not? But that's not how girls are raised. We can't say that. We cannot say that.
And that's something I
So
question. That's something you bring up that point. That's what I question. Like I've always wondered that, and I've always talked to my dudes about this. It's like, how come females can't feel like they can approach us? Like, what's wrong with that? Because
um
it's like why is it that it has to be the man got to do it? It was like, as a female, if you want to do it, like I feel like you should approach us, because sometimes we don't know. Sometimes as a man, it puts a
right.
lot of pressure on a man to always feel obligated to either propose or ask the girl out and stuff like that, because it's like, you know, sometimes it's hard. Like it's hard for us. And sometimes it takes a lot of nerve. So it's like I feel like if
Yeah.
the female were to also do it, it can kind of give the man an idea, because a man will take it. Like I feel like a lot of men, they wish they could have that happen, because sometimes we don't know. Sometimes we thinking, oh, this girl don't want us, like she don't want to be bothered, just by her body language. But it's like I feel
And she's probably just irritated that you're not making your move faster. Like most girls won't be there in the moment with you if they're not interested in going further. Does that
mm,
make sense? There are some who will be there just to take your money and get a free meal out or something like that. But most girls who are pursuing a relationship would not be there if they weren't interested in exploring the next level. You
mm,
know, um, it seems like through the generations, we have been raised that men have to be the aggressor to start.
mm.
And I know why, but it also seems like girls are the ones who do all the breaking up.
Yeah, I like most relationships I've been in, the girl broke up with me. I've only broke up with one
Right,
girl out of the relationships I've been in. But yeah, I do see that. Like the girl always be breaking up for some
right.
reason.
And that's why I say most girls wouldn't be there if they weren't interested in going to the next level because girls are comfortable breaking up with guys.
Mm. Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah.
So, and this is not to say give the green light to the guys to just go 90 to nothing and, not take the time and do your due diligence in the relationship. But at the same time, it's, they want to stick around for that deeper conversation. They want to stick around for that next level. And, even physically, that's, totally the decisions between each girl and each guy. But even with us being believers, the Bible talks about the man being the head of the home. I gotta tell you, I'm so stinking comfortable with that. I can't see straight, but I'm the strongest woman you will probably ever meet in your life. you know like I love the fact that my man already has it in his head. He's going to protect me, and he's going to do, he's covering me. But at the same time, everybody in the world should just know that my husband's not going to get very much of a chance to protect me because I'll be right underneath him with my sword ready to chop your head off. You know what I'm saying? Like, we are equals in all of that. I just want him to be the lead. And I think so many times the women are so confused. Like, I don't want no man to be the head of my household. I'm an equal. I can make all the same decisions. I can make da, 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 da. But at the same time, they get mad if you don't pay for their meal. Like,
Right.
what is
Yeah.
up with that? To one degree, it's just women are trying to find their feet and how to be in this new world. And to another degree, women just want their cake and eat it too. And so we have got to get to the point where we are learning how to get past the childish, I want my cake and eat it too. And what can I bring to this new strong women world? You know, it's really thrown a rock into the dating for you men, and I hate that for you. I'm glad women are finding their feet. I really wish we had a better way of learning the do's and don'ts of it though. So we'll get there. We'll all get there.
Yeah, it'll come around. But as of right now, I think, so I feel like a lot of it comes down, a lot of it is, social media plays a big factor in it, because now, looking at people who go on social media, they expect they think that it's supposed to be held to some standard. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like social media, like back then, like you didn't have that. So it was, I feel
Mm-hmm.
like it was more natural now to meet somebody back then versus it is now. Cause now it's like you get the online dating scene, you got, you can hit people up in the DMs, you can, basically connect with people all different types of ways now. And I feel like,
Right.
the people that be posting on social media, like they be like trying to give you a false image of what a relationship is supposed to look like. And I feel like, a lot of people are falling into that trap. They're just falling into like, oh, the man and the man's supposed to be like this, the woman's supposed to be like this. And if they ain't like this, then that ain't no relationship. Like, for example, from a female perspective, if the man don't pay for my meal, my man don't do this and that, then I can't be with them. Or, now it's like if a woman don't look like a model, if she don't look like this, if she ain't got curves like this, then I can't date her. Cause it's like, social media has put a false image in our mind to think, oh, this is how it's supposed to look. And that's what I was talking about when I said a lot of people now build their relationships on saying like he look good, she look good, he got a lot of followers, she got a lot of followers, you know what I'm saying? She got money, he got fame and all this other stuff that we kind of shying away from like the realness of a relationship of why we want to. It's just people just doing it now just because it looks good. It looks good to be with
Right.
somebody now versus like actually trying to be with somebody and trying to work with their differences. It's just now it's just like a flex. So you can post it on social
Right.
media and be like, oh, look at my man, look at my girl, like look at my girl, like she got a million followers, she's a model, she got curves, she got this and that. It's just more of a flex now. And that's why,
Well, let me ask you something. If somebody has a million followers and they're truly living the life of an influencer, that's a heck of a lot of work. How much time are they going to have for you?
exactly. Because I feel like those influencers, I don't know how they do, I don't know how you do it, but I know there's, when I've seen these influencers on social media, it's like they got partners, but at the same time, it feels like they got multiple partners because they got to try to
Right.
please people on social media so they can get the followers. And I hate to use females as an example, but it's a lot of female influencers on there
It's
that
prevalent
be
with females.
they be. I mean, there's males out there, but it's mainly females because a lot of females are on social media more than males. But it's just like with the females, like it seems like, yeah, you got a man, but it don't look like it from your profile. It's like like we got
Right.
it just don't, it's just like, man, you trying to entertain other people on social media as well. It's like I don't know how you be
Right.
doing that. It's like I don't know how you be. I really don't. Like if the man cool with it, then it's cool. But I know personally for me, I want you to myself. Like I don't want you on there doing what you doing.
So note to Chris Simmons, influencers and people with a million followers are not the demographic you should choose a partner from.
No, according
Does
to
that
me,
make
no.
sense? Like
Right.
it's really a profession that really doesn't leave time for real um relationships because you're going to get to see them you're going to have to be penciled in, you know and is that what you want in a relationship, to be penciled in?
you just gotta just remember that. I mean, nothing wrong with dating. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with dating influencers, but I just know for me personally, you know, it's not about fame, it's not about status for me. It's like, is it is that person's heart in the right place? And if your heart is
Yes.
not in the
Yes.
right place, then me and you, we just ain't gonna click clack. Like it's just not gonna work.
Yes.
You know,
So raising my girls, I always told them anytime something come up and anytime they were, fussy about something or whatever, and I would always tell, and my daughter, my second daughter, she's like, Mom, if I ever hear that phrase again, it's going to be too soon. But I would always say, it's all about the condition of your heart. What is it exactly that's making you fussy? Are you not getting all of the attention? Are you not, like, why are you all worked up about this? This is literally, you know ninth grade issues here, and you're just all bent out of shape. It's the condition of your heart. You want what you want, and to heck with anybody else. But what I wanted to say before I forget it again, to your roommate, communication is the key. That was your number one. We got to get to your other. um I think it's just safest for the guys to always say at the beginning of a relationship, how do you feel about that? Are you cool paying for a meal every once in a while? And if you are, like, if I call you and just say, hey, I really want to hang with you, but like I'm tight. Is there any way you can pitch in or maybe even pay for the meal tonight? Instead of waiting until you get to the restaurant, because there, all you're doing is giving her a chance to put on a show and a hissy fit in front of everybody.
Yeah, luckily she didn't do that. Yeah,
I'm sorry, but I've raised daughters and I are a female.
yeah,
I know how we do. So, I mean, over communicate that, especially, say ahead of time, "Ugh, I really want to hang out with you, but I don't have the money to provide an event. Can you help?"
right. Yeah, I think, yeah, and looking at it from there, yeah, I feel like it could have been like that, but
And
still,
she might say, listen, I'm tight too. We got to do peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and take a walk in the park,
right.
which, if you're really into her, that's great too.
That's what I'm saying. Like that would really show you. That would really, show, you and your relationship. Like,
And
is it? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
actually having had that conversation and having to do peanut butter and jelly with a walk through the park, you guys are going to grow closer together because you just overcame the obstacle of not having enough.
Yeah, that actually, that's one of the sub points that I had under communication, being able to talk things out, like being able to, like I said, like be real. And that also,
Mhm.
leads to my second point, being honest. Like just be real with each other. Like why you gotta keep secrets? Like why are you afraid to tell your partner or whoever's supposed to be your person of interest? Why is it that it's hard for you to let them know the truth sometimes? Because
Right.
honesty, I've heard this, honesty is the best policy. Like I always like to keep it 100. Like that's what we say now. I like to keep it 100. Like keep it real with you all the time. And, you know, being honest and open about things is also going to be able to help your communication. And it's also going to be able to build that trust, which is the third layer of building a strong foundation, is being able to trust that person. But it all goes under communication. Communication is probably the most important thing in a relationship, because if you don't have that, you're struggling. You're gonna be
Yes.
struggling.
Okay. So one thing that we did, and I mean, I don't even know how we landed on this. Whenever we got to the point of, okay, that a fight is coming, right? Like you can feel it coming, and and we were poor, we were broke when our girls were little bitty. We barely had enough money for a babysitter, but if we knew that a fight was coming, it was inevitable, we would stop right in the middle of, tensions rising. We would just call a timeout, call a babysitter. When she got there, we got in the car and we took the anger out of our home. We drove out to the lake. We sat at the spillways overlooking the lake, and we didn't speak from the time we left the house until we got to the spillways. No speaking allowed. When we got there, then we fought it out.
Mm,
But we removed the anger from our home and our typical daily setting, and we didn't speak until we got out there. But the most important thing about that is the drive from our home to the spillways had allowed us to settle the emotions. We were able to, like, kind of remove some of the frenzy. And when we got there, we were both calm enough to start the discussion in a productive way instead of in an emotional way. And we grew leaps and bounds during the time that we did it like that. You
mm.
know, now it's not always possible, but we would call a timeout right in the middle of an escalating fight and just leave the house and get to the lake, and then we would let go. So that everybody would do it differently, but consider that when you're communicating, and and I'm really speaking to females here, because there's a lot of times once that starts rising, there's not much we can do. That ball is rolling downhill, and buddy, here it comes. But if you commit to calling a timeout, removing the anger from your home, removing it from your normal daily life setting, and you go into a completely neutral location, even just the drive getting there calms you down a little bit, and talking it out in a peaceful, beautiful location just adds so much to what you can get done.
There you go. Yeah. That was a good strategy right there. That was good. That was a good way to do it. I feel like I'm echoing your background. I can hear my voice. I can hear my voice in your car. I was like, what?
You can?
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird.
I was echoing. I was like, what in the world?
Okay, is it better now?
Yeah, it's good now. I was like, I kept hearing myself.
Okay.
I'm like, bro, what the? But nah,
Uh-oh.
nah, we.
I hope that didn't ruin anything.
Oh no, it's all good. It's all good. No, you're good. I mean, it happens. We're on Zoom. That's why I was trying to do it in person, which I think it will come. I think the time will come where me
Oh,
and
it's
Heather can
coming.
do it. Where me and Heather can
It's
do it in
coming.
person. First of all, how you fly for
And
free?
well, when you work for an airline, you get to fly for free. What you have to do is you have to show up for each flight, and if there is an empty seat before it takes off, then you get given the empty seat. So it's not like you're not sure that you're leaving Friday at 2 o'clock. But, when you're talking about flying for free instead of paying several $100s, I don't care. I will get there at 5 a.m. and wait until you have an empty seat, you know. So yeah,
That's
but listen,
dedication right there.
I'm flying up there and hopefully I can do it in December. I am a sucker for Christmas decorations and everything. So coming up there and seeing how everything's done in Ohio, that would be fun to me.
Yeah. I just say be dressed for the weather. Bring a coat, bring some boots, because the part of Ohio you might come to, which is Kent, I'll probably most likely be up here in Kent, Ohio. It's snow up here. So I mean, I ain't talking like 1 inch. I'm talking like
Yeah, that's
12
miserable.
inches. So if you come up here, bring your coat, bring your boots, bring your gloves, bring your hat, bring your scarf, bring everything. Cause it's gonna be, it ain't Tulsa. It ain't Tulsa winter. I know Tulsa in the winter be like
No.
60, 70 degrees. It ain't like that. It's more like 7 or -7 degrees. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, but you might get lucky and get a
Well, I
nice
grew
day.
up in South Dakota, so I can do it.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot. It do be snowing up. It do be snowing up there too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, man, I think we had a great conversation for real.
We did. It went a little long. You might have to split this into two.
I'm just gonna keep it. I'm just
Oh,
gonna
you
keep it.
okay?
Yeah, no, it ain't no big deal. You know me, I can talk for hours.
Right?
But I know that we had a lot to say, and about relationships. I think we had a great convo. We started out with talking about her relationship, and then we went into some other stuff. But hopefully, y'all find this beneficial. Hopefully, you find this conversation, beneficial, and hopefully you can apply some of these principles to your life, especially from Miss Heather, who's been married 33 years. Started, her journey began when she was 18 years old. So hopefully, you can learn a few things here and there, take some things with you and hopefully apply them. But anyway, this will not be the last time you see from Miss Heather, because like you just heard, she will be up here in Kent, Ohio. Hopefully she prepares for the weather, because she said she want to come in December. So hopefully she dressed for the weather, because it ain't gonna be like Tulsa. I'm gonna tell you that right now. So you will definitely see more of Miss Heather. Definitely go follow Miss Heather on Instagram. Follow her at Heather underscore Nuttall underscore Westover. I will go ahead and put that link in the description, because I know you probably didn't remember that, but I will say it again. It's at Heather underscore Nuttall Nuttall underscore Westover WET. I mean WEST.
WE.
I was like, what am I doing? OVER. Don't worry, I'll put all this in the description. I'll put all this in the description, so you should be able to see it. And I'll also tag it on my Instagram. Speaking of Instagram, follow me on Instagram at Disinfecting Your Life. There's no spaces, no capitals. Once again, follow me on Instagram at Disinfecting Your Life. No spaces, no capitals. And for those of you who are on Twitter, follow me on Twitter at DisInYourLife1. Once again, follow me at DISN Your Life and the number one. And then also, for my older generation who still use Facebook, follow me on Facebook at Disinfect your life. So again, follow me on Facebook at Disinfect Your Life, and you'll see the page. You'll see all the latest and greatest uh, of the podcast, and the videos and all the great things that's coming up. But if you follow me on Instagram, definitely click the link in the bio. When you click the link in the bio, you'll be able to see a tab. You'll be able to see multiple tabs, to our channels and stuff. But you'll also see this tab that says merch. So if you click the merch tab, you'll be able to see I got a lot of merch on. Well, I got shirts and hoodies. So right now I got my hoodie on as always. I wear it to every single podcast called Step Towards Your Purpose, which is also the title of my book. So definitely click the merch tab, get you some sweatshirts because you're gonna need them up here. I don't know, down in Tulsa, Oklahoma, it might still be 90 degrees down there. But if you in the north, you definitely need a sweatshirt. Get you a sweatshirt, and then also get you a t-shirt, Step Towards Your Purpose t-shirts. Go get those. They're on sale right now. So if you're trying to still step towards your purpose in 2021, you still got time because 2021 is not over. If you're still trying to accomplish something, do it right now. Don't be them people that say, I'm gonna just wait till 2022. No, 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 no. Do it right now. If you still want something to happen, make it happen right now. You still got time. So
Yes.
get started, get going on it, or whatever you still got left to do in 2021. Make sure it happens. All right, Miss Heather.
That's right.
You got anything before we close out?
No, I just thank you for having me on. I enjoy my time. I enjoy visiting with you so much, and I love where you're at and your part of life. And it's so funny how you always remind me I'm in that older generation, but you handle me with care, so that's really great.
Yeah, for sure. No, I'm always looking out. Always looking out. You feel me?
Yes.
But yeah, no, it's been a great episode once again. And we about to go ahead and close it out. This your boy Chris Simmons alongside special guest Heather Westover.
Heather Westover, yeah.
And we gonna see y'all soon, man. Take care. Peace.